Sports Scene, Hampton Road's premier interview show with Greg Bicouvaris, each Saturday from 10 a.m. to 11.
And you look at that, 4-4 at home, which is just average, 4-3-1 on the road. I mean, you're not going to win any games like that. They were not the same team after they beat the Packers, yet the Packers were a totally different team.
Interact with Sports Scene on Twitter @GregBic and listen weekly as Greg interviews distinguished guests with excellent commentary and insight. Sports Scene, Saturdays at 10 a.m. on the Lighthouse 100.1 FM. From Chesapeake, Virginia, the Lighthouse 100.1 presents Sports Scene. Sports Scene features local, regional, and nationally acclaimed guests and excellent interviews. Follow Sports Scene on Twitter @GregBic. Now here is Greg Bicouvaris.
Sports Scene presented by HamptonRoadsOnlineMall.com. Sports Scene midweek online, Saturday on the radio, 10:10 a.m., 100.1 FM at 10 o'clock. At TuneIn.com by typing WPMH in the search bar. Tell your friends about Sports Scene. Twitter @GregBic, @GJB Radio. See the rest of my Twitter handles on GJBTV.com. Greg Bicouvaris along with Andrew, as we mentioned. Thank you to our military for what you do 24/7. Guest lineup presented by Buffalo Wild Wings and Newport News. Phone line presented by Outback Steakhouse in Kempsville and Virginia Beach. Now delivering GJBTV.com. Major League Baseball season fully underway, almost near the All-Star break. Wimbledon coming up, golf, a lot going on in the sports world. Also, we would like to welcome the men and women in uniform serving around the world, listening to today's version of Sports Scene on TuneIn.com and YouTube. Thank you for all that you do. We hope you're enjoying today's version of Sports Scene. Stay tuned.
Thank you, too, for your great show, because it really makes people think about topics that are important. I listen and I love, and I've called in before, too. I just really appreciate your program. I also think that it's good to have debates because it lets us all dig a little deeper. Hey, what does God's Word say about that? So I appreciate your show. I think it's great, and I think we all should be digging deeper into the Word of God and seeking God as to what He's called us to do.
Be sure to tune into Picking Up the Habit every Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. here on the Lighthouse 100.1 FM.
Catch up on archived editions of Sports Scene by going to GJBTV.com and clicking the YouTube image on the homepage. Now back to Sports Scene with Greg Bicouvaris.
And welcome back to Sports Scene. I want to thank our good friends at Oh Yummy Sushi, best Japanese cuisine in Virginia Beach. Give them a call at 631-6888 right there on North Great Neck Road in Virginia Beach. Go there and get some great sushi, hot, delicious Japanese food at Oh Yummy Sushi. All right, our first topic today is the state of high school athletics. She's worked in college and high school athletics. Let's welcome the Warwick High School Athletic Director in Newport News, Jennifer Nuttycombe. How are you, Jenny?
I'm fine. Thank you, Greg.
Very good. Another year has gone by. Before you know it, it'll be football season. But in your opinion, what type of year was it for Warwick High School overall?
Well, we had an excellent year this year. All our teams were competitive, and our kids had some honors throughout the year for all our sports. Player of the Year for the Peninsula District in volleyball, all conference honors, all district honors. So we had a lot going on here at Warwick this year.
Obviously, you know, being an AD now is full-time. How does that help you as far as your time and your management, your family, personal life? Because, as you know, for a long time, when your dad was coaching, it was always a part-time job.
Right. You know, it is a tough job. However, I enjoy it. My daughter and son are out of the house, as we might say, so that does help me as far as family life. You know, it keeps you busy, but the responsibility is to make sure that the coaching staff and our athletes are getting what they need to be successful. So you just do what has to be done and move on.
Yeah, a lot of times it's the before and after, making sure they have the proper equipment, proper water, especially for football and, you know, field hockey and all the outdoor sports. And really, there's a lot of things on that planner to put on your phone, or it's like a list, like a multitasking list of all the games you have to be at, or especially the home games. I would assume you have more responsibility.
Right. You know, but it's called teamwork, Greg, if you want to know the truth, and have an excellent trainer. Chad Cook, and he's very helpful with getting the water prepared and communicate with each other on what the coaches need for the day, whether it's practice or for a game. And the coaches do a great job in just informing us what they need for the day. And yeah, those kind of things are important to make sure. Bus transportation, we need a bus, where's it going, what time pick up, what times it needs to come back to pick up. So communication is such a key in the success of an athletic program.
And one thing about Warwick High School, where you're at, or Menchville, where your dad was, you're centrally located in Newport News, and you hosted the middle school volleyball that we televised in Newport News. That was a really fun event with some of the younger kids there. But, of course, so it's a showcase place, Warwick High School is. It's probably the most front and center school, high school, or college on and in the city of Newport News, but you can see the football field right there in the front yard.
Yeah, it's really neat when we get to showcase and have our kids, our athletes, participate and help. And what I mean by that is, every time we have a function here, whether it's middle school basketball or middle school volleyball, our coaches are involved, our administration is involved, and we're working together to make sure that these kids get to see what it's going to be like when they attend their high school. It might not be the same high school, but they still get the same feel of how they are going to be able to interact with the crowd and the referees and things like that. So it is neat because we are centrally located, so we get the honor of hosting a lot of those events.
Right. It's always, behavior, how you're going to deal in public. I mean, you might have one day a baseball game going on, a soccer game, other times a field hockey or JV football game in the fall. So there's always something going on at Warwick High School, and there's a lot more responsibility where the coaches and the ADs, it's not just like the coach, but could be a father figure, a mother figure, especially if they don't have parents. They might need advice about school, about personal stuff. So really, you guys and gals play a whole lot of roles there, and several of your coaches coach double sports too. Like I know your women's basketball coach also coaches tennis.
Right, and they're a vital part in these young children's lives, and they really step to the plate. I know a lot of our coaches reach out to those children that need assistance, whatever it may be, someone to listen to, give them some advice. Whether it's in the classroom or discipline and so forth. So, yeah, these coaches don't just do the X's and O's. And I know that, as you mentioned a few minutes ago, is that, about my father being that way. And, yes, I remember how important coaches were in the lives of a student athlete. So it's really an awesome thing when we have our coaches get involved and help our children be successful and, as we say, career and citizen ready. So, yes, that's really important.
Right. And, of course, you talk about adult supervision in all sports. As we're talking to Jennifer Nuttycombe, who is the athletic director at Warwick High School. She also worked at Christopher Newport University. Tell us about your sports background before seeing you in Warwick.
Well, I coached at Peninsula Catholic, boys and girls tennis and basketball. I played collegiately at Christopher Newport, basketball and tennis, as well as I participated in those sports at high school at Menchville. So, love sports, been around it all my life, and, I guess you could say I was brought up in that household full of sports and athletics, and my father being a coach, so I've sort of gone in that direction and enjoy it tremendously.
Hard to believe your dad stepped away from Menchville way back in '88, but that's been 31 years ago, and it seemed like it was yesterday. You talk about athletics in general. What is the state of high school athletics? I mean, there's a lot more distractions now, Jennifer, compared to when you and I were growing up. There was no phones back then other than landlines. It seems like, in general, our society is addicted to the phone. They even go to sporting events, whether it's college or professional, they're still using their phone, that they can't put it down. But one thing about sports is when they're playing, they have to put it down. But it seems like it does affect attendance. It's affected attendance at colleges, and I'm sure it's affected attendance at the money revenue sports like football and basketball.
And I do think there's a little effect in that. But I also think the effect of just kids of today want more things. Parents are saying, hey, you need to get a job, and therefore maybe they're working that night and they can't get to the football game or drop by to the baseball game. They do show up, and I always see them coming in late or whatever it may be, and they're like, I've just had to go to work and just coming in late. So you are right, but I think it pertains to more or less than just parents are encouraging their children to get jobs and support what they might need, whether it's a car, whether it's a phone. So I do think that's out there as well.
I don't think this will ever happen in Newport News or Hampton because of Todd Stadium and Darling Stadium, but the JVs do play a lot of times at the schools. The Southside schools primarily play at one location at their respective high school. They've got their own fields there. Would that ever evolve into some games, let's say on a Thursday, maybe, that you could play some of the games at your high school? I know you've had a lot of administrative changes in Newport News. I mean, Mr. Tyson's no longer there. Belinda Langston's no longer there. You know, back in the day, Mr. Begor was there. Gary Sylvie, and that was kind of the old guard where everything has to be at Todd Stadium. Do you think that would help school morale or spirit if you did like one game a year at your own school?
Yes, I do. I don't know how feasible it would be just because of the logistics of our school. Without our schools being, sort of fenced in, you'd lose revenue there, and, it would be not so much controlled. Where at Todd Stadium, we're more controlled, centrally located. We have the police officers that just keep us safe and so forth. So I think those logistics would sort of make it complicated. But, we love playing at Warwick.
Sure.
We love our soccer games out here and love our baseball games. And so, yeah, it allows the kids to come out right after school, stick around, have their parents come and pick them up, or whether it's the teachers leaving and realizing there's an activity going on campus. That sort of helps the morale of the athletes, seeing their teacher come out there and support them.
That's a good point, because really the only sports off campus, I think, are cross country and football?
Well, we got cross country and football and golf, and then at Warwick, of course, we have softball, which we play over at Riverside Elementary.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Very good. So one thing about the fall coming up, your football coach, Corey Hairston, he's been there for a few years. He's made the postseason. He's had his bumps along the way, but it's always getting the bodies out there, varsity, JV, coaching staff, and really it takes a village to lead a football team, and football kind of sets the tone for the rest of the year.
Yes, it really does. And I can tell you they are a bunch of young men right now that are working hard. The out-of-season helps with getting the kids that maybe are working some, that they can come in at a different time. But our staff is out there diligently working. I know that for our football right now, we might have some activity in the morning for the students that might have a job in the afternoon and vice versa. So our staff is working diligently every day to be prepared for our first game.
But they do need a break, though, too. I believe that graduation was just recently. I think you need some downtime. Back in the day, everybody would just start in August, but you have to be in condition. I think that was a good point. You have to be in shape to play football, but I think everything has to be done in moderation. You can't overdo it either.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's how come we try to monitor how many hours we're out there, make sure if they cannot come, it's okay. It's just not mandatory. It's just volunteer. But it gives the kids more options than feeling guilty that they cannot come that particular day. If that makes any sense, is that, say they can't come in the morning, but they can come the next morning or the next afternoon. So the opportunities allow that student to really get ready for the season. Because come August, the conditions, the hot, the humidity, you want to be ready, not just for football, but, of course, cross country and field hockey and cheer and volleyball and golf. So they're all out there and they want to be prepared. So getting prepared a little earlier does not hurt anything, but you're absolutely right, making sure we do it slowly but properly.
Right. Off-season training activities very important for all in academics, athletics, and activities and getting ready for the school year. But let's hope everybody enjoys the summer well before August begins. All right, Jennifer, thank you so much for your time and your talent and your treasure. Always a delight talking to you about athletics.
Thank you, Greg, and you have a great day.
You too. That was Jennifer Nuttycombe right there from Warwick High School.
Thank you, too, for your great show because it really makes people think about topics that are important. I listen and I love and I've called in before, too. I just really appreciate your program. I also think that it's good to have debates because it lets us all dig a little deeper. Hey, what does God's Word say about that? So I appreciate your show. I think it's great, and I think we all should be digging deeper into the Word of God and seeking God as to what He's called us to do.
Be sure to tune in to Picking Up the Habit every Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. here on the Lighthouse 100.1 FM.
Interact with Sports Scene on Twitter at Greg Bick. Email bicogb@hotmail.com. Now back to Greg Bicouvaris in the Hampton Roads OnlineMall.com studios.
I want to thank our good friends at CP Shuckers, a local tradition on Shore Drive, Pacific Avenue. People love their delicious food, great appetizers, sandwiches, burgers, specials, all the games on TV, like the World Cup, Major League Baseball. Go by and see Matt, Mark, all the great chefs at CP Shuckers. Like them on Facebook for delicious food 7 days a week. The locals' headquarters is CP Shuckers in Virginia Beach. It's a pleasure to talk to our monthly regular guest, George McClain from the Marksman in Newport News. George, welcome back. How are you feeling?
Doing very well, Greg. We're hanging in there, making progress every day.
Very good, very good. George, usually when we start the show, we talk about some type of current events before we talk about your store. And unfortunately, several weeks ago was a very dark day in Hampton Roads, especially in Virginia Beach.
Well, it was. It's a shame that it's come this close to home. I mean, it's right here in our home. And unfortunately, it happens sometimes just like that. That the worst that we can think of winds up invading our own home, and that's the case. I just I'm at a loss. I don't know how you stop these deranged individuals from doing these types of activities, but they're there, and we just have to deal with it.
Right. And, of course, we can say what we feel. That's a radio show. We can give our opinions. And, of course, you have the fanatics that think it's the gun's fault. And, of course, the reasonable people know a gun does not get in the car and drive anywhere and shoot anybody. But the scary thing about that was, as far as us all being buttoned up at home or on the road or at work, is that that was a person who knew the building well, who knew the employees, who knew they were vulnerable at Friday at 4 o'clock or whatever time it was, ready to go home, ready for the weekend, and he got him at its worst. And also that was a key-coded building, an older building, even though it's got some modern amenities. That took a lot of guts for anybody to do that right near the Virginia Beach municipal grounds there, and also near the police headquarters.
Very true. And, I know this starts to get to be stale with some folks, but if you prohibit individuals from equipping themselves to defend themselves, their own lives, then you're going to have people like this who take advantage of that situation.
Yeah.
And these people could not have defended themselves.
Mm-mm. May their memory be eternal. But obviously, if you can defend yourself, you're a lot better chance of living. And that's very, very sad. It'll be a sad day. We should never stop talking about this, folks, and remember these victims and their families and anything we can do for them. All right, what's new? Switching gears a little bit with the Marksman. We're coming up in July and August, summer season. How's summer season going?
Well, it's our typical summertime dip. So if you're kind of holding off because of the crowds, if you see the parking lot full, it's typically because we've got classes that still go on, and the class, if it runs full and everyone sees the parking lot and they think that the range is full, that's not always the case, especially at this time of the year. So if you drive by and you see a full parking lot, you still might want to you'll stop in if you're wanting to shoot. I wouldn't just drive by assuming that the range is full. We've had good air conditioning. So far everything's been serviced, so it stays as comfortable as we can keep it. But keep in mind that air on the range has to keep circulating to keep the smoke, the results of the different types of gunpowder that go off in there. Some is a lot dirtier than others, depending on the ammo that the customers bring in. So that air has to go through the filtration system, and you can only keep it so cool. But right now we've been able to keep it at in the upper 70s or so. So even on a hot day outside, it's usually about 20 degrees cooler than what the outside air temp is. So it becomes a whole lot more bearable.
Two big signature days are always Military Mondays and First Responder Fridays.
Absolutely. You get 20% off your already discounted rate on that, so you come in and check us out. Tuesdays you can bring a friend, and it's two for the price of one. So usually some kind of a special going on all the time. So this is a great time of the year to take advantage of that.
Talking to George McClain from The Marksman. Google The Marksman Newport News. Very convenient to anybody in the peninsula or the south side, right off the interstate as well. And, of course, great staff there, too. That's a good point about the parking lot, because a lot of people are taking classes. But, unfortunately, after a bad incident like what happened in Virginia Beach, or even in Texas or wherever an incident might happen, that people do tend to say, hey, let's wake up. Maybe I need to defend myself in public, whether I'm going to a big box store or traveling with the family on the road on vacation. If the car breaks down, it's always good to be safe.
Well, absolutely. And we talk about that all the time. It's the old Boy Scout motto of being prepared. And so our adage is that we love for you to be prepared and hope you never have to use it, never have to take advantage of that training. But I would much rather have the training and be prepared to defend myself should the need ever arise. Hopefully that's not the case. It won't ever arise, but we don't always know that.
From a retail point of view, George, what can people buy at your store?
Well, you can buy pretty much any firearm that you want. We specialize more in the handgun. And we are a handgun range versus long gun. Long guns, we sell them, and we're not going to stock every different type, but we can order pretty much any type you want. So if you're a hunter, you'll come in and you'll get with us. You can look through and you'll see what you like. If you know the caliber and the brand, the style or model number, we can be competitive on the pricing for the most part. And usually have the firearm in here within a couple, 2 or 3 days. Unless you order it on a Friday, then it's going to be maybe Tuesday or Wednesday the following week. But anything to do with shooting, with the sports, we can get the ammo, we can get the accessories if you're wanting different types of scopes for the long guns, or you want lasers for your handguns, holsters, cleaning kits, and anything that you could think of like that with that goes along with either shooting the gun, owning the gun, or maintaining the gun, cleaning the gun. We have all of that.
George, we've heard a lot about suppressors in the news, unfortunately, lately. On a good side, a positive side, what is the benefit of a suppressor?
Well, it's just quieter to shoot. What's the benefit of that? You don't have to wear ear protection. And why would that be a concern to anybody? Well, I've got your relatives who own farms that have animals out on the farm. Well, when you have animals out on the farm, sometimes you got predatory animals out there as well, and they've got fox and coyote and this type of thing. Well, they don't work the farm wearing earmuffs. It's just it's not reasonable to expect that. But yet, a lot of times when they see a predator going into a flock of animals that they have, you have to grab a gun and they start shooting. It becomes dangerous at that point because they could rupture your eardrums. So if you've got a firearm that's got a suppressor on it, that takes care of that particular situation. So that's a practical situation. You got a lot of people that for whatever reason, they just like to shoot quietly even on the range. But having said all that, the suppressor comes under the 1968 Firearms Act. That is a Class 3 weapon, so you have to have a stamp that you have to pay for to get that unit, whether it's a weapon or whether it's the suppressor, has to be. It's very tightly controlled by ATF. Not everybody can sell them, and you got to know where it is all the time. And you're the only person. If you own it, you're the only person that can use it. So, in that stamp, I want to say it's right at $250 above the cost of the suppressor itself, but you've got to pay for that stamp, that fee for that stamp to the government. And so, if you're thinking about a suppressor, there's a lot of research that you need to do to see if you want to jump through all those hoops in order to own that.
And obey by all the laws. Talking to George McClain from the Marksman. Greg Bicouvaris, glad you're with us, at Greg Bic on Twitter, GREGBIC. You mentioned predators, and that's a really good point, too, because recently in Virginia Beach, a huge snake attacked a domesticated dog. The dog did survive barely, but during the summer, in the rural areas out in Windsor and Smithfield and even in the woods, you see all types of snakes. In Virginia Beach has had bears before. You just have no idea what's going to show up on your deck. I'm not talking about people, and a lot of times we have dogs to protect us if we don't have a gun, but snakes are an issue if you're out in the woods. And what is the rule if a snake is on your property and it's a big snake like a copperhead, or if you're out in the lake, a water moccasin or that type of thing, cottonmouth? I mean, if they're trying to attack you, I guess you have a right to shoot it, don't you, George?
Well, certainly you want to be away from it. Sure. It depends on the city. Most of the cities will have an ordinance about discharge of firearms, and that's without a legal reason. So if you can make your case, go ahead. I would probably take a garden hoe and choose to use that versus shooting a firearm. Just typically, if a snake's on the ground, you're shooting into the ground. You may not know exactly what is underneath the ground. If you got a rock or something, Murphy's Law says that there's a 12-inch by 12-inch hard surface, anything rock underneath a half-inch below the surface of the ground. That would be where I would shoot. Now it becomes a ricochet hazard. You don't know where that bullet's going to go.
Right.
So you got to think ahead when you do things. So even though you might be able to make a case to make it legal, it's not necessarily the smartest action to take. Not
to mention if you miss. George, how do people get a hold of you guys at the store? You're open 7 days a week.
7 days a week. You can stop in and see us. 872-4130 is the phone number. You can come in. You can email us with the sales or info at the-marksman.com. If you're going to email us, do not expect a 30-second reply. We got people that's working. We're not sitting at desk. Someone staring at emails for responses. So quicker response is going to be picking up the phone and calling and talking to the front desk.
Very good. George, continued health. We look forward to talking to you next month. Stay cool, and thank you for enlightening us about gun safety.
Thank you, Greg. I appreciate it. You guys take care.
Very good. My pleasure. George McClain from the Marksman and Newport News, folks. Google it and learn something from a great staff. Stay tuned.
Thank you, too, for your great show, because it really makes people think about topics that are important. I listen and I love, and I've called in before, too. I just really appreciate your program. I also think that it's good to have debates because it lets us all dig a little deeper. Hey, what does God's Word say about that? So I appreciate your show. I think it's great, and I think we all should be digging deeper into the Word of God and seeking God as to what He's called us to do.
Be sure to tune in to Picking Up the Habit every Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. here on the Lighthouse 100.1 FM.
You are listening to Sports Scene with Greg Bicouvaris. Now, back to Greg. It's now time for Greg's Highlights, presented by HamptonRoadsOnlineMall.com.
I want to thank our good friends at Buffalo Wild Wings and Newport News. Great lunch, dinner, appetizers, salads, boneless traditional wings, great menu on hand, excellent burgers, all the great food, 7 days a week, wings, beer, sports, of course, soda too, and tea for you soda and tea drinkers, great appetizers, like we mentioned, something for everyone, all the baseball, all the sports you want on TV at Buffalo Wild Wings and Newport News at 12150 Jefferson Avenue. Go by and see Paul and the friendly staff. Give them a call at 249-3999, 7 days a week, lunch, dinner, late night. Great place for wings is Buffalo Wild Wings and Newport News as well. Of course, GJBTV.com, HRSMHOF.com, and HamptonRoadsOnlineMall.com. Of course, GJBTV.com. Click the YouTube link on the homepage for archived editions of Sports Scene and audio and video as well. Our question of the day presented by Buffalo Wild Wings and Newport News to our esteemed producer, Andrew, when you walk into a room, any room, and someone you know is in a bad mood or doesn't speak to you because of displaced aggression from a prior event, do you confront the person, engage the person by saying hello, or do you leave them be?
It just completely depends on the person. If it's someone that I have a more a valued relationship with, then absolutely take the time to talk with them and figure it out, and at least extend the olive branch, as they say. But, if it's someone that I'm not particularly close with, then, probably just going to let it slide and just let it go.
Very good. Sports Scene will continue after this.
Mold, trash, rodents, snakeskin, even deceased animals. No, this isn't a Halloween shopping list. It's what might be under your house, in your crawl space. Schedule a free crawl space inspection with the Crawl Space Company and find out what's in your crawl space. Call 757-394-3494 to schedule your free inspection or visit thecrawlspacecompany.net. So, do you know what's in your crawl space? Catch up on archived editions of Sports Scene by going to gjbtv.com and clicking the YouTube image on the homepage. Now back to Sports Scene with Greg Bicouvaris.
I want to thank our good friends at Sakura Japanese Restaurant. Go by and see Jasmine and the friendly staff. Sushi bar, takeout, dine-in. They deliver as well. Ask about delivery. Walmart Way Crossing in Chesapeake, 1437 Sam's Drive. Give them a call at 410-4577. Our regular featured guest, Ian Locke from the Norfolk Tides. Ian, how are you?
I'm great, Greg. How are you?
Good. How's the summer evolved so far for the Tides?
So far, so good. I mean, it's been, for us, we're a huge fan of when it's nice out, and we've had some great weather so far this season, and hope a lot more comes up as the summer goes on. But a little slow start for the Tides, on the field, but at the ballpark, we've had some great crowds and some great atmospheres, and we're looking forward to a lot more coming up this summer.
Yeah, because a lot of times in the past you would play the weatherman on Facebook too.
Yeah, that's part of my gig. I get to try and answer people's questions about the radar and the forecast. And I went to school for a lot of things, but definitely not a meteorologist. But we do our best to communicate anytime there is some inclement weather approaching the ballpark. We're in contact with the weather service, and we're looking at radars all day. And we'd like to tell people we have a huge tarp here at the field. We do everything I can to get that night's game on time as scheduled. Our grounds crew is fantastic with Kenny Magner and Justin Hall, who they're here. Seems like 24 hours a day getting the field ready, prepping it for the bad weather when it does show up. And we can play through some rain, and sometimes we have to play when it rains, which kind of stinks. But for the most part, I think we've only had a couple of rainouts so far this season, and we'd love to keep it that way the rest of the way.
Yeah, next time we talk to Ian will be in July, and of course we'll go over the staff directory there like we always do every single year. Well, before we talk about the on-field play, let's talk about the amenities. There's always fireworks going on during the summer. That's always special, and there's always something for everyone, whether it's the concessions, the suites for the business people, the business day special. So you have a nice mix of day and night games both. Yeah,
we have a fantastic, you mentioned, we have a large promotional schedule with a whole bunch of stuff going on, and we do our best to have something every single night at the ballpark. You mentioned promotions. We have fireworks nights essentially every Saturday night throughout the season. So anyone looking to come out and enjoy a night at the ballpark, we have 7:05 games on Saturdays with fireworks following. And one thing, too, that people enjoy a lot is kids run the bases after every single game. It doesn't matter if it's a Monday night or a Saturday night. Your kids can go out there after the game and run the bases just like the big leaguers do when they're out there on the field. So that's always a fun thing. Most of the Friday nights we have giveaways, whether it be bobbleheads or T-shirts or hats. Some sort of giveaway every Friday night, and then we do a lot of stuff throughout the week as well. We have Military Mondays throughout the year where retired and active duty military and their dependents can show their ID at the box office to get discounted seats. We do happy hours on Tuesdays and Wednesdays at the ballpark, and just a lot of stuff. We have Princess Day, and for young kids, we have Service Industry Night on Tuesday nights throughout the season. So lots of stuff going on, and we just try and keep it keep it fun and exciting. So that way, if the baseball on the field isn't great, at least you guys are having fun in the stands.
Talking to Ian Locke from the Norfolk Tides, Greg Bicouvaris, Sports Scene, every Saturday morning from 10 to 11 a.m. and FM, 10 a.m., 100.1 FM, tunein.com, typing WPMH in the search bar, always archived on Twitter and YouTube for all you fans around the world listening on the different apps and so forth. Ian, you talk about the on-field play. How's it been as far as the hitting, the pitching, and the fielding?
Well, we had a great early start with our offense. Our offense was fantastic. A lot of that was attributed to a couple guys, DJ Stewart and Chance Cisco, both of who had just fantastic starts to the season, especially in May. Stewart led the entire league in every category, it seemed like, average home runs, RBIs, and was great, except he was too good because he got called up. So now he's not on our team anymore. And same thing with Chance Cisco. He was just fantastic as a catcher for us behind the plate, throwing out runners and hitting for average and for power. And, same kind of thing. He was too good, and now he's up in Baltimore catching for the Orioles. So, we've kind of taken a step back a little bit offensively with the loss of those two guys. But we did add a younger prospect, a guy named Austin Hayes, who a lot of Orioles fans will know. He's a bigger prospect. I think he's rated 4th or 5th in the system, depending on what publication you go by. And he was a guy that had some injury problems last year, but in 2017, he was one of the top 5 finalists in all of minor league baseball across all organizations for Player of the Year. He hit 32 home runs, had over 100 RBIs as a 22-year-old. So he's 24 now with the Tides and starting to play great. He's only been here a couple weeks, but you can see some flashes of that potential, and hopefully he turns it on, and he's a name that fans in Baltimore will be seeing definitely a bunch down the road.
Absolutely. The Orioles have had a rough year regardless.
Yes, they have, and they that's part of the rebuilding process that they spoke about before the season. They're a brand new general manager, brand new manager on field, and they were upfront about it. They said after 4 or 5 years of kind of going for it, the Orioles trying to win. They kind of said out front, hey, we're still trying to win, but the rebuilding process is kind of starting this year, and they've taken their lumps a little bit. And their pitching has given up too many home runs this year. They'll be the first to admit that, and that's part of the growing process a little bit. But they did have the first overall pick in the Major League Draft in June, and selected a catcher named Adley Rushman from Oregon State, who's supposed to be the next big thing. So hopefully they get him signed and he can contribute immediately to the organization. And he can't pitch, but he can hit and call a game behind the plate, and that's something the Orioles will certainly use down the road.
The manager, Boone, for the Yankees has done a great job. The Yankees, even with all the injuries, have done really well in baseball. What's been the biggest surprise in minor league baseball, what you've seen?
I think we've talked about it before, is the home runs at this level. In the past, I know we've talked last time we spoke about the major leagues and minor leagues for the longest time had used a different ball, and this year the minor league baseball AAA baseball at least is using the Major League Baseball, and that has changed dramatically the amount of home runs that have been hit at this level. For example, we've I think through late June or mid-June, basically half our home games. We played 70 home games this season, and through 35 home games, we had already hit more home runs this year at home than last year, with the whole season to go, or half the season to go. So, and that's a good thing. The bad thing is we've also given up a bunch more home runs as well. So, gone are the days of the 3-1, 4-2 ball games at Harvard Park and around AAA baseball. It's a lot more 7-5, 9-6 kind of games. and then we're seeing also in the major leagues as well. So these guys are good. They can hit the ball, and when they square it up, it goes a lot farther now. So that's been a big change at this level, and just a lot more home runs. I mean, like I said, it's people who like offense is certainly not going to be disappointed every time they come out to the ballpark.
I know you're there early and leave late on game days. Talk about somebody on the staff that what position they do as far as who opens the doors the earliest there and who leaves the latest.
Yeah, I mean we have it depends on the day of the week. A lot of times our box office is open beginning at 10 a.m. on game days. So especially on Saturdays as well. So the folks in the box office are here bright and early on the weekends to open up doors. In the week we have our receptionist is here, Lisa. She's here super early as well to get the office open and everything ready for folks to come in. Generally, luckily or unluckily, I'm the last one to leave a lot of times here just because the game ends and I got about an hour and a half of post-game work or something to go. So for those who don't know, we, the staff generally gets in about 9:30 in the morning for a night game, 7:05 at Harbor Park. So we're putting in. By the time the game starts at 7 o'clock, we've been here about 10, 11 hours or so, and then the game starts, and we still, we're here through the end of that. So it's not uncommon for us to be here, 13, 14 hours a day, which is a long day for sure, but it's it's a fun job, and we get to work at the ballpark, and we all know how much fun that can be. So, that being said, when the team goes on the road, we're certainly quick to take a nap. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, and you do a good job with the press releases as well. Talk about how people can get a hold of you.
Yeah, so if anyone wants to look at our full promotional schedule to check out the Saturday night fireworks and our giveaways and things like that, just go to NorfolkTides.com, and if you hover over our tickets and promotions link, you'll be able to click there and see all the stuff we're doing there. If they want to follow us on Facebook, just go to Facebook.com/NorfolkTides, and you can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram as well. Just search Norfolk Tides, and we'll pop right up.
Ian, all the best. We'll talk to you in a few weeks, and have a good rest of June.
All right, sounds great. Thanks, Greg.
Very good. Ian Locke right there from the Norfolk Tides. Stay tuned.
Half of all pregnancies in the U.S. are unplanned, and 43% of those pregnancies end in abortion. CareNet Peninsula is a nonprofit on a mission to bring help and hope in Christ to women facing pregnancy decisions. We're completely community funded. Because of faithful partners, our medical clinic provides free pregnancy tests, ultrasounds, and many other services. This support saves lives of hundreds of preborn babies a year and changes families. Will you help us? Donate or find out more at cnpeninsula.org. That's cnpeninsula.org.
Catch up on archived editions of Sports Scene by going to gjbtv.com and clicking the YouTube image on the homepage. Now back to Sports Scene with Greg Bicouvaris.
And welcome back to Sports Scene. Want to thank our good friends with the Royal Chocolate, a regular feature here monthly on Sports Scene. Don't forget, every Saturday morning from 10 to 11 on traditional radio and 100.1 FM, AM 1010, tunein.com by typing WPMH in the search bar on your phone or your computer. Let's welcome Brenda Tusing from the Royal Chocolate. Brenda, how are you?
I'm doing great today, Greg. How are you?
Very good. Well, we're in the middle of the summer. We got July 4th coming up, but it's always a good place to get a cool treat besides chocolate.
It's a great place. We do, I don't know if everybody realized this, but we do summertime happy hours. Mm-hmm. So Monday through Friday from 2 to 4, you can come in and do beverages, 2 for the price of 1.
Nice.
Yeah, we have frozen hot chocolate. That's like a little oxymoron or something, isn't it? Mm-hmm. But yeah, they're great. They're like a milkshake consistency, and we have great flavors, and it's a great summertime deal.
Absolutely. All right, when you first walk in your store now in the summer, what do you see? Of course, it's always well laid out.
It is, and you still see us right up front making all the chocolates and making the gourmet apples and that sort of thing. But you'll see a little setup in the front now. We do, and not a lot of people know about this, but I think it's like our 4th year. We do summer camp for kids, a day camp. Mm-hmm. Like on Tuesday and on Thursday, they would come and attend for one session. But the kids stay from 11 to 2. They make their own chocolate bar. They dip a chocolate or a gourmet apple in caramel, and they decorate a Rice Krispie treat. They have pizza and juice for lunch. They play some chocolatey games. They love it. So that's Tuesday and Thursday, only through August. So people should hurry up and give us a call and register. It's for kids 8 and older.
You know, I think there's a lot of psychology behind that, too, at the time, because it's funny how kids and smaller kids and even teenagers, to that extent, they're at their best during the morning and during the daytime, kind of like senior citizens almost. And I think you got their attention span really good.
Yeah, they're focused on chocolate. I mean, you know, and they're kids, so they just have a lovely time, and it's a nice environment. Everybody's my staff is great, you know that, and the kids just have a wonderful time. In fact, we have kids that come back more than once in the summer, and we have kids that come back every year. So I think that says a lot about what we're doing there for kids. We do kids' birthday parties, of course. But, this is summer camp. Be a chocolatier for a day.
Right. And, of course, locals always come by, but also tourists. You've always talked about that. This is the time of the year the tourists are coming to Virginia Beach.
We see a lot of tourists, and it's really nice for us because so frequently we'll have people in our store and they'll say, hey, we're back this year. They're getting ready to travel home maybe, and they say, but we have to take, this back for our neighbor and that back for our grandmother and those kinds of things. So they do their final trip into the store and take back a lot of goodies for the locals where they are.
Brenda, I noticed when you walk into a store like yours that music is in the background, and sporting events, they do the same thing before a game starts or some type of restaurant. Does that? And they say there's some type of background about that it kind of breaks up the monotony, the awkwardness sometimes with silence.
It's funny because we for years. I'm not a very big techie, of course,
sure.
And we've tried for years to find we had the radio on, and then that's disruptive because of commercials and news
sure.
and all that sort of thing. And now we have, we have constant music playing, and we can choose. Like during the day, we may play, some classic oldies, soft rock. At night, we might play some jazz. And then one day, we have the little Alexa Dot. One day, she just stopped working for some reason. I had to go in, and anyway, it took us most of a day to figure it out. But it was so odd, the quietness.
Yeah.
It was very, I was like, oh, come on, where's the music? It's very strange because it's just a background thing, but you miss it when it's gone.
Yeah.
And sometimes, you see people out there, and they maybe, humming a few tunes of whatever they're playing that they recognize. So, yeah, it's very important. I don't know why or what it does, but
it makes people smile in a good mood. I saw some lady today as the music was in the background, like she kept on saying, yeah, I'll buy this, I'll take that, I'll take this, I'll take that. And I think the music subliminally does assist.
It probably does, and I think it's a little bit of the type of music. It's sort of the genre sort of tells you a little bit about the store, about your environment. I remember years ago, and I don't know why they stopped it, but Farm Fresh played oldies, like things that from the 60s, the Motown stuff, and oh my gosh, I just wanted to stay and sing and dance in the aisles.
Yeah.
It was great, but it made me feel really happy to be there.
Yeah, I mean, even Walmart's got their own radio station. I mean, it's unbelievable. But, yeah, there's something for everyone. And one thing about your place is you walk in, you see the candies right front and center by the candied apples, the different types of barks and bars you got there that are really, really yummy, whether it's white type chocolate or the some type of a cinnamon crunch. There's those little small candies there by the candied apples really are noticed.
Oh, yeah, they're great. That's the first case. That's a whole case of things that we make in the store. But don't forget to remind everybody that there are samples there every day.
Yeah.
Samples of our chocolate and samples of our apples.
Yeah, and talk about your gift baskets. Those are up year-round, not just during the holidays.
They are year-round. We have a lot of people that come in and use birthdays and, certainly events. But we have a lot of people that come in, a thank you basket, that sort of thing. But we have a basket that looks like a house. We have a lot of real estate agents that come in and use our gifts for their client appreciation, when they've sold or listed a home. So that we always keep those around as well. But yeah, they're beautiful, and we hand make all the bows, and they have a variety of chocolates but they always have chocolates that are made right there in the store. So yeah, they're a big hit, primarily at the holidays, certainly, but all year long for any occasion.
Yeah, I remember.
We can even custom make a basket for you.
Yeah, I remember as a kid, my godmother, Catherine, she was a ribbon fanatic. She would have my sister drive her to the ribbon store. So I know how popular they add ambiance to the basket.
Oh, absolutely. And, we are, like you talked about, some ribbon fanatics. We're always looking for beautiful ribbon and pretty colors and just things to jazz up the basket. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, we're big on beautiful ribbon.
Well, your phone number is 557-6925, open 7 days a week. Let me ask you this, because a lot of clients are in the restaurant business, and their go-to days are usually Friday and Saturday night where the entire staff is there. How does it work for you? Obviously, I know Christmas, Thanksgiving, Valentine's. When is the whole staff there, like you, Terry, everybody there?
That's a big deal when everybody's there. We have a lot of staff. We actually hire on an average of 12 people. But, we're open a lot of hours. You have to have at least 2 people, usually 3 or more on staff. And then, we have people really working part-time 4, 5, 6 hours a day. So we have a lot of people. But, at Christmas time, sometimes we're Valentine's Day. Oh my gosh! Sometimes we're kind of like, oh Lord, are we going to all fit behind this counter? We're sort of bumping into each other. Yeah. So we're all on point then, boy. But usually you'll find at least 2, 3, 4, 5 people in the store. We try to balance it. So we're big on customer service, as you know. So we certainly want everybody to be helped.
Right.
In the quickest fashion that we can manage.
Kind of like Chick-fil-A, you are the same type of mall. You have a lot of people. Give us your address and how people can get a hold of you.
We are 164 Central Park Avenue in the Virginia Beach Town Center. 757-557-6925. We certainly have a great following on Facebook. So you'll find us at The Royal Chocolate on Facebook. We have an Instagram account. I think we have a Twitter account.
We do.
We do. Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't do much with that, but we're out there on social media, and we're out there, just one-on-one in public. So I would hope everybody would come in and see what we're doing.
Open 7 days a week. Come down, sit down, get a drink, like you said, happy hour. Brenda, all the best to you, Terry, and the wonderful staff of the Royal Chocolate, and have a good rest of June, and we'll talk to you next month.
Great. Thank you, Greg.
Thank you. Brenda Tusing right there from the Royal Chocolate. Always a great place to get a treat. Stay tuned.
Mold, trash, rodents, snakeskin, even deceased animals. No, this isn't a Halloween shopping list. It's what might be under your house, in your crawl space. Schedule a free crawl space inspection with the Crawl Space Company and find out what's in your crawl space. Call 757-394-3494 to schedule your free inspection or visit thecrawlspacecompany.net. So, do you know what's in your crawl space? What tees you off? Presented by HamptonRoadsOnlineMall.com.
All right, before we get to what teased me off, I want to thank Outback in Kempsville. Go by and see Mike and the wonderful staff. Spacious, nice dining area, convenient location in Kempsville. Great bar, great lounge, lunch and dinner daily, 7 days a week. They deliver burger, steak, soup, salads, appetizers, seafood, pasta, chicken ribs, chops, desserts, beverages, dine-in or carry out, something for everyone. Like them on Facebook, download their app. They deliver in Kempsville, as we mentioned, so it's really convenient for locals and tourists at Outback Steakhouse in Kempsville. Great food at 1255 Fordham Drive in Virginia Beach. Give them a call at 523-4832, 7 days a week. Outback Steakhouse in Kempsville. All right, Andrew, what teased me off, always one of our favorite segments on Sports Scene. Employees, you've been around them, who show no conviction on their job.
Yeah, it's unfortunate when people don't enjoy what they do, and when that is expressed through the job that they perform. But I can certainly identify with it. But show a little passion, show a little even enjoyment, maybe if you can.
You've seen that a lot on the show called Bar Rescue. That's really funny, where he has to go there and try to take over and help the bar or the restaurant do well. The blame game, Andrew, you know it, the blame game. every person doesn't want to show responsibility. They want to blame others.
Yeah, that's unfortunate when people get into that mindset. I feel like we sort of, as a culture, are sort of letting that slide a little bit. I kind of was grown up with the idea that if you're in charge, then you take the blame even when it's not your fault. And now getting people to accept blame when they really are responsible is a little bit of a challenge. So, yeah, I think it's a cultural shift. I'm not a fan of it, and it'd be good, I think, if we can just own our mistakes and learn from them.
Yeah, take ownership. Exactly right. This happens a lot year-round, no matter whether you're on the highways or the byways or the local roads as well, but especially during the summer. People who wait to the last minute to stop at a red light, that can affect others as well.
Yeah, it definitely can. I'm usually driving with kids a lot these days, so I tend to be more on the safe side and that sort of thing, and I'd like other people to be safe as well. So fortunately, I don't notice that too much when I'm out, but I'm sure it happens, and we just all need to be. That's a silly way for a life to be ended, is just running through a light or just not being safe on the road, and we just need to just be safe and act like adults when we're behind the wheel.
Speaking of being safe, we've talked about this in Sports Scene, but Andrew, whether you're in the house and it's totally quiet at night, you hear that random sound, whether it's inside or outside, you have no idea where it came from.
Yeah, that's always a scary thing. I don't know what it is. The house I used to live in, I guess, was just a noisier house for some reason. And it seemed like I was getting, awakened almost every night with some sort of noise or sound. It rarely happens where I live now, and I'm grateful for it. But yeah, it can be unsettling, especially, if you've been watching something, that evening, that might be a little bit frightening, then your mind and your imagination starts running with it. But no one likes that.
We've all been here before. This happened to me recently, I got to admit, until the manager corrected it. The clerk not giving the correct change back and assuming that whether they drop the change on the floor, that I'll be satisfied with whatever they get back. No, if I get the change back, it should be the proper amount.
Yeah, well, that is one of the challenges of using cash, and I'll admit that I can't remember the last time I paid in cash for something, so I rarely even think about it. I rarely have to count the change anymore.
Mm-hmm. We've been there with the relationships. We've all, for the most part, been married before, but even before that, girlfriends, whatever. Ex-flames, Andrew, whether it's a friend or girlfriend who can't get the hint that really you don't want to communicate anymore.
Yeah, it seems like a real curse when you can't get that many relationships growing up. That's the way I felt. But in retrospect, as an adult who is married with kids, I find it a tremendous blessing that I did not do a ton of dating, didn't have a whole lot of relationships, and fortunately can avoid quite a bit of that.
Less distractions, the better, right?
Absolutely.
All right, spilling your food, that's never fun. We've talked about it. You start your morning off, and all of a sudden you don't have that extra shirt, and all of a sudden the Diet Mountain Dew spills, some of the soup spills, whatever. But that dirty shirt can lose credibility quick.
Oh, absolutely. No, I have little kids, so usually someone is spilling my food for me, which can be really frustrating. But that's why I eat before I get dressed these days. There's just no point. Something's going to happen to it. I get dressed right before I'm about to walk out the door and do everything I can to avoid everyone and everything.
Yeah, because especially the sweat or the smells or the food, whatever. We talked about that. We mentioned the ex-flames who can't get the hint, but this is just as bad. Hearing from people, work, business, pleasure, personal, you don't want to hear from no matter what they have to say.
Yeah, that's true. But I guess it's a part of life, and it probably makes us better people, learning a little bit of patience, a little bit of just learning how to bite our tongue and that sort of thing. But yeah, I think that's just living in the world, I think.
Yep, absolutely. And of course, last thing, you can't control the environment when you first walk into a door. You have no idea what you're going to walk into. But the last thing when you first walk in, Andrew, is you don't want to have that odor smell or something really a bad smell that sets you off before you even set foot in the lobby.
Yeah, definitely. It's important, especially in the summer. It can be hard, if you've been working a long day, perspiring a little bit or whatever else. Leave some deodorant in the car or something, or breath mints. Just take a few precautions.
Air freshener, folks, goes a long, long way. That's why they got so much air freshener, and it's cheap. Use it in lobbies of restaurants, especially, or airports, hotels. It's very important. Of course, that's what tees me off.
Catch up on archived editions of Sports Scene by going to gjbtv.com and clicking the YouTube image on the homepage. Now back to Sports Scene with Greg Bicouvaris.
I want to thank our great 4 guests today, Jennifer Nuttycombe, George McClain, Ian Locke, and Brenda Tusing. For more, go to gjbtv.com. Browse, shop, and visit the website, HamptonRoadsOnlineMall.com, HRSMHOF.com. See the rest of my Twitter handles on gjbtv.com in the contact section. And, of course, at Greg Bick at GJB Radio for Sports Scene. So for Andrew, I'm Greg Bicouvaris. We'll talk to you soon.